Hello and welcome to the July 15th, 2018 edition of the From the Bench podcast. I am founder, host, producer, writer, Mark Janish. Any and all previous podcasts can be heard on Libsyn and Stitcher Radio. Last podcast done was about 10 days ago, just investing with LeBron James, giving you my takes on the Los Angeles Lakers 4-year, $154 million acquisition of LeBron James and what that might mean for the Lakers and where the Lakers might be going. Broadcasting just outside Santa Barbara, California on a very warm July day. Wanted to go ahead and just update you on what we're going to do post-World Cup. The World Soccer Show, the exclusively soccer podcast, will continue to be featured. For the last month, it's been very soccer heavy. What I needed to let you know that as of Tuesday the 17th is the MLB All-Star Game. On Friday, we should be resuming baseball topics with Buster Olney and his podcast, daily podcast, by the auspices of ESPN Podcast Center, and the archives are posted there. I'm going to be bringing that back. I'm going to be also returning to MLS coverage with the LAFC and the Seattle Sounders and more coming from the MLS, featuring their podcasts as well. The latest podcast from Sports Illustrated Media Podcast with Jimmy Traina and the Athletics' Richard Deitch. He also hosts a radio sports program, talk program over AM 59 in Toronto, Canada. Those of you that know Richard, he migrated to the Athletic from the Sports Illustrated podcast. He used to be the host of that, replaced by Jimmy Traina. But I feature those every week. Latest podcasts are up on the homepage. You can also go to the on-air page if you have any questions regarding that. What I've actually done for today, one of today's recent posts, is the 1961 classic MLB Baseball All-Star Game. Being that this is a little break from the MLB 97 games into the season, I will from time to time be bringing you old-time baseball broadcasts in MP3 format. They will be embedded into a post. You can go ahead and take a look at the Boston Red Sox home park, Fenway Park, hosted the 1961 All-Star Game. This was All-Star Game number 2. What you'll hear is a very robust and young Ernie Harwell on the 2-hour and 36-minute MP3 broadcast over national radio. So enjoy that, baseball fans, and wanted to go ahead and just let you know what the programming is going to be. We're going to be returning to regular programming. You can follow me at Mark at Access Media Global, Mark at Access Media on Twitter. You can also hit me up on the Contact Me page, along as we have some constructive comments. I'm going to go over some baseball scores now, and I'm also going to go over some standings because, to be honest with you, for the past month, normally I post 4 teams: the Padres, the Angels, the Dodgers, and the Seattle Mariners. For last month, I have not posted that content, but we'll be returning to that on Friday, after Friday's games, I guess you could say. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to give you some scores right now. The Colorado Rockies today swept the Seattle Mariners 4-3. The Los Angeles Dodgers beat the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim 5-3 at Dodger Stadium this afternoon. Despite the fact that Clayton Kershaw had a 25-pitch first inning, and he's actually coming off that injury. He's still in the low 90s with his fastball. His curveball is in the high 80s, low 90s. So he can still locate those. But definitely, we look at Clayton Kershaw. He's not getting older necessarily, 31, 32 years old, but the speed of his ball, fastball anyway, is declining slightly. The Baltimore Orioles looking to trade Manny Machado before the trade deadline of July 31 beat the Texas Rangers 6-5. Common wisdom, or what you would say, the general thoughts are that Manny Machado will no longer be with the struggling Orioles at the deadline, and they may choose to trade him for some prospects. The Boston Red Sox, 68-30 on the year, beat the Toronto Blue Jays 5-2 in a divisional game today. And the Yankees, we'll get to the Yankees in a moment, but the Cleveland Indians beat the New York Yankees today 5-2 as well. The Washington Nationals 6, the New York Mets 1, and the Marlins 10 doubled up on the Philadelphia Phillies 5. That's a final. The Dodgers, who are a half game up in the National League West, by virtue of the Braves 5-1 win. Five to 1 win for the Braves over the Diamondbacks. Sorry about that. The Pittsburgh Pirates beat the Central leading Milwaukee Brewers. The Central second place team, the Milwaukee Brewers, 7-6 in 10 innings today. We're going to discuss the Central Division. I'm going to go over some standings with you as we go into Friday's games. We enjoy the break Monday through Thursday. The Home Run Derby is on Monday night. And, of course, the All-Star Midsummer Classic renewal is happening on Tuesday. The White Sox, 10. The Royals, 1. The Minnesota Twins, 11. The Tampa Bay Rays, 7. The Detroit Tigers finally beat the very, very hot Houston Astros 6-3 today. The Cardinals, who just fired Mike Matheny after 6 years, and many, many hundreds of victories in a St. Louis uniform. He has been dispatched. The poor performance of the St. Louis Cardinals caused the Cardinals to make that decision. So, adios, Mike Matheny. A 6-4 win for the interim manager of the Cardinals, 6-4 over the Cincinnati Reds. The Oakland Athletics find themselves 3 games behind the Seattle Mariners for the second wild card spot. Athletics 6, Giants 2, and the front-running Central Division National League leading Chicago Cubs beat the San Diego Padres in San Diego, final 7-4. Let's go ahead and look at the standings. The division standings find the Boston Red Sox on top of the New York Yankees by a 4.5 game margin, 68-30. The Boston Red Sox beginning to put some distance between themselves and the New York Yankees. Very disappointing that Aaron Boone, first-year manager for the Yankees, replacing Joe Girardi, is 29 games over 500. But once again, due to the hot start of the Boston Red Sox, finds himself 4.5 games out of the lead in the National League East. That's followed up by Tampa Bay, who is over 500 but 18 games out. Toronto is 43-52, and of course the hapless Baltimore Orioles, 28 wins, 69 losses, a very healthy 39.5 games out of the division lead. In the Central Division, the Cleveland Indians, 7.5 games in front of the Minnesota Twins, 12.5 in front of the Tigers of Detroit. The White Sox, who've had a poor season, 19 games behind in the Central Division of the American League. And, of course, the formerly great Kansas City Royals, 2015 World Series champions, 2 straight appearances in 2015 and 2014. They are a hapless 27-68, a healthy 25 games behind in the American League Central Division. In the American League West, now this division is going to be a very, very hot division to look at. The Houston Astros, 64 wins, 35 losses. The Seattle Mariners have had a good year. However, injuries to James Paxton, who's on the 10-day DL with back stiffness, along with his teammate Felix Hernandez, the King, also on the disabled list, 10 days with a back soreness, stiffness problem that needs to be solved for Seattle to be effective. Seattle is 58 wins and 39 losses, 5 games behind the front-running Astros. That's been an interesting battle in the American League West. Seattle surprising 58 and 39. Edwin Diaz has 36 saves for the Seattle Mariners going into the All-Star break. So the situation for the Seattle Mariners is they need to get their starting pitching squared away. I would expect Jerry DiPoto, Trader Jerry, who's made a couple of moves with Mr. Colomé and Mr. Denard Span with Tampa Bay earlier in the year. I would expect that the Mariners make one more move to shore up some starting pitching. But once again, we'll wait a couple of weeks, July 31st, the trade deadline. That's Tuesday, by the way. Tuesday, July 31st. That's what we'll be focusing on. I'm expecting to probably go ahead and just update you as times go forward, as things begin to pan out during the trade deadline. So stay tuned there. In the National League East, the surprising Philadelphia Phillies with Aaron Nola leading the way and Rhys Hoskins for Philadelphia, 53 and 42. The Phillies find themselves 1/2 game ahead of the Atlanta Braves, who are 1/2 game behind Philadelphia. It's been an interesting journey for the Atlanta Braves with Ronald Acuna Jr., among others, for the Braves. The Washington Nationals, 5.5 games out. Bryce Harper, we don't know whether he's worth the money, but he's 48 and 48. Look for him to sign a huge free agent contract in the offseason. And, of course, Washington at 500, 5.5 games behind. Philadelphia, Atlanta, 1/2 game back. And then, of course, the Miami Marlins, 13.5 games out. And the Mariners. The Mets, the New York Mets started off like winning 12 out of 13 games. They are 13.5 games out, bringing up the rear with the Marlins, tied at 39 and a 55 record. And the Chicago Cubs, as I mentioned, 55 and 38 going into the break, 2.5 games in front in the Central Division of the National League, 7.5 games in front of the St. Louis Cardinals. I've detailed the managerial change there for Mike Matheny and the St. Louis Cardinals. Pittsburgh, 1 game under 500, 9 games behind. And then, of course, Cincinnati, who's recently been playing better. They are 13.5 games out. And as we get to the National League West, the Los Angeles Dodgers, 10 games over 500, playing better recently, 1/2 game ahead of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Colorado Rockies, who just swept the Seattle Mariners, 51 and 45, 2 games out. And then Bruce Bochy and the San Francisco Giants, 4 games out, 2 games over 500 at 50 and 48. And, of course, bringing up the rear, the San Diego Padres, 40 wins, 59 losses. So that updates the standings for Major League Baseball, giving you today's scores. Wanted to just thank you for listening across the world. Those of you that have checked in, the numbers are up. This is a good thing. The numbers are up for AccessMediaGlobal.com website. I do this to nurture the love of sports across the world and around the nation. Hope you enjoyed the broadcast today. If you want to get a hold of me, go to AccessMediaGlobal.com. Click on the Contact Me page. All you spammers and those of you that want to bring your own content, your own agenda, this is not a situation where I want that to happen. This is a situation where I'm here to nurture the love of sports, a sports evangelist, if you will. But sports is one of the few things that we can agree upon. And I have to say, after viewing a lot of the World Cup action, one of the few times that multiple nations come together in positive agreement regarding the beautiful game. Once again, we applaud France for winning a 4-2 victory over Croatia. Stay tuned this week. We're going to go ahead and just continue to post some of our regular programming. Now, after this little 10-day interval, what you're going to see more football-related stories covering the Seattle Seahawks, the Oakland Raiders, the Los Angeles Rams, and the Los Angeles Chargers. In the meantime, you can go to the football page. I do have some embedded Twitter feeds for all those teams. I do have the schedules posted on the NFL page. You can always go to the podcast page for Richard Deitch and Jimmy Trina with the Sports Media Podcast. Those are posted weekly, around about Thursday or Friday, depending on the time zone you're listening to this in. You have a great evening. Once again, I'm Mark Janish, speaking to you from the bench. This is the From the Bench podcast, wishing everyone listening around the world and around the United States a great evening and a great day. Take care, everyone, and thanks for listening to this edition, July 15th, 2018, of the From the Bench podcast. Until next time, I'm Mark Janish, saying so long, everyone.